Hello and ho, ho, ho. You have joined the Script Mistress for Scene 8, Holiday Movie Madness. I am your host, Amber Bosworth, and I am so excited to bring you this really fun episode. Now, a few things first. If you want to stay up to date on podcasts, events, and challenges, get on my mailing list at www.thescriptmistress.com. And I also have this whole episode on video, if you aren't already watching it, at www.thescriptmistress.com/scene8, the number 8. Now, for your enjoyment, along with a free download that I'll discuss at the end of this episode. Just a reminder for everybody, again, I read a lot of blogs, articles, and books. I even have a master's degree in screenwriting, and I collect it all here, right here for you. This podcast goes over the holiday movie and the best way to approach your next holiday script, should you feel the spirit to write one. I've provided links to the sources in the show notes and have a lot of my own advice in here as well. So I have a couple of articles I pulled these from, very specific articles. If you wanted to really get into those, I will have those in the show notes and also on the webpage, thescriptmistress.com/scene8. Now, I also want to remind you, if you hadn't guessed, that this is not edited. I just get on here and spill on this weekly topic. Collecting this from the plethora of information gives me great motivation to write. It's about what works for you as a writer to keep the keys clacking or the pen scratching. We are now into November, almost halfway over, and I'm very happy to say that the next Ink to Screen Challenge is now open for registration. All the fun begins on November 16th, this coming Wednesday, next week, guys. So you have the whole week before Thanksgiving if you want to write a brand new script, 5-page script based on a prompt that is sent out to you on the morning of the challenge. So come and join us if you're feeling creative. All right, now to the episode. If you are ever asking yourself if you should write a holiday movie, the answer is yes. A lot of screenwriters ask the question, what types of screenplays should I be writing right now? And the answer to that question can often be found by researching box office, viewership trends, what kinds of scripts are highly sought after, and the genres that can really help launch careers. Now, holiday movies are often overlooked, but they have so much to offer aspiring screenwriters who are looking to make their mark and get hired. So let's go over some of the reasons why it might be a really good idea for you to write a holiday script. Why you need to write your holiday movie. You've likely noticed in recent years a rise in the number of annual holiday movies that are released. There are a couple of significant reasons for this. More platforms equals more demand. The rise in platforms has created higher demand for content, which means those streamers are looking to fill their libraries with a variety of titles to keep up with it. And since holiday films are extremely popular, it stands to reason that streamers and networks are always on the hunt for that type of content. Watching movies and TV is a holiday tradition. I don't know about you guys. One of my biggest holiday traditions around Thanksgiving and Christmas is to go to the movie theater and just watch movies if we're not watching football during Thanksgiving. But the U.S. domestic audiences consistently embrace the holiday season and celebrate in front of the television or their smart devices with these films. Viewership is essentially baked into the genre, which is certainly appealing for networks and production studios who aren't all that interested in taking huge risks. Just look at Hallmark, which produces dozens of these movies every year. 80 million viewers in 2018. I know sometimes it's just good to sit down and watch one of those. And as my secret, shh, don't tell anybody. Now, also, they have small budgets big interest. The third reason, and this is the most important thing to consider as you're working on your holiday film, is the budget. The holiday films that you watch are largely inexpensive. So if you have an idea for a holiday film, consider the special effects that you may or may not need, the size of your cast and your locations, and see where your budget is at, so then you can see if you need to bring it down. The goal is to write something inexpensive that streamers or networks will scoop it up, and then families will crowd around the television to watch it after they're done opening gifts or as they decorate their home. So let's get into writing the holiday script. We know why we should, but now let's get into writing the holiday script. So just some fun thing, or not fun things, but some tips to remember as you go into writing a holiday script. Number one, concept. Nothing, and I mean nothing, gets read or produced in Hollywood without the all-important concept, which also means writing a log line that delivers, a concept that makes it easy to market the film once it's made. Now, I have a free logline cheat sheet download to help you with that. You can get it on my webpage, the homepage, or on this episode's page, thescriptmistress.com/scene8. It can really help with that logline if you're struggling. The business side of movies requires that as many people as possible are intrigued by any film. A weak concept doesn't help. Write to market, and market like a pro. Give producers a reason to say yes and not anything else by showing you can handle both the artistic and business sides of your screenwriting career. Now, a log line like "A Charming Tale of Christmas in Maine with the Zany Taylor Family" gained you very little interest. Unless the Zany Taylor family is already a sitcom family known and beloved by audiences. But a man who has recently lost his wife and suffered a mild psychotic break believes he is Santa Claus and builds a drone-powered sleigh in his barn in Maine. Well, it isn't exactly great, I admit, but it's a more interesting concept and would lead to more people reading your screenplay just to see how that all pans out. Plus, it takes an old concept, a reindeer sleigh, and modernizes it to a drone-powered one. Perhaps you could set your Christmas film in outer space and make it about a group of lost travelers who believe their Christmas is ruined because they can't find a pine tree. Now you have a high concept hook, too. If the said travelers proceed with their treeless festivities and realize that the spirit of giving and sharing is more important than a Christmas tree, you now have a story that audiences can emotionally invest in. All right, we have concept. Another really good tip is to think outside the Christmas box. So, concept, right? But where does that come from? How do you generate your ideas? You might start by looking at the current crop of ideas and give them a new, unique twist. Scrooged took a familiar story, A Christmas Carol, and updated it hilariously with Bill Murray. It seems that every year we see a re-envisioning of this timeless story as it proves its worth over and over again. There's a reason it's a classic and why we enjoy watching this retelling. Maybe you can hide the Scrooge story in something unique, like a modern day cabin in the woods with a man who has turned his back on society and has a stroke that leaves him paralyzed on the cabin floor. As he suffers, you have him being visited by all the ghosts of his past in the form of flashbacks, since he thinks he's going to die. Maybe those ghosts are talking woodchucks or wandering bears as he hallucinates. The ideas. Another great twist is The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is a funny, touching, and wonderfully conceptualized story about Charles Dickens, the original author of the book A Christmas Carol, a ghost story of Christmas that has become numerous plays and movies. Now, here's the log line for the man who invented Christmas, courtesy of Google. In 1843 London, author Charles Dickens finds himself in financial trouble after writing 3 unsuccessful novels in a row. Desperate for a hit, Dickens relies on real-life inspiration and his vivid imagination to bring Ebenezer Scrooge, Tiny Tim, and other classic characters to life in A Christmas Carol, forever changing the holiday season into the celebration known today. What a great concept, right? I mean, don't redo the book, movie, play yet again, but rather write about the author or the historical times it was created. And in the process, also write the beloved tale. That movie has 3 simultaneous narratives and they blend incredibly well. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you go see it. A similar treatment was given Finding Neverland about J.M. Barrie, who wrote Peter Pan. That film garnered a score of Academy Award noms, including Best Picture and Adapted Screenplay when it was released. It's a proven paradigm. What do you know about the Santa Claus legend? Maybe you want to subvert it and write a Krampus film. How about taking the name literally and making it a Santa Claus by which you have to become Santa once you don that suit? What might a film called Santa Claus, the Claus, look like? Ideas are everywhere if you just look. Christmas is a wondrous time for many, filled with food, fun, and family. Emphasis on family here. But what if you were accidentally left by your family alone during Christmas and 2 grinchy bad fellows were trying to break into your house? Or take one aspect of the holiday and expand it, one little aspect. How about shopping madness? Jingle all the way. Trying to get home for the holidays, like in planes, trains, and automobiles, which isn't a Christmas movie per se, but a Thanksgiving movie. Another big holiday subject since it focuses on 2 strong themes: family and gratitude. Now, if you want to rise above the noise, get a great concept or twist one into recognizable themes such as The Nightmare Before Christmas, Elf, the deliciously depraved and hilarious Bad Santa, or even Office Christmas Party. Okay. Now, what about themes? How many can you think of that have to do with the holidays? Theme is essential to telling a good holiday story. There are the positive themes: family, faith, joy, giving, receiving, redemption, and negative themes. See the same list. Family, all of that can also be negative, depending on the spin you put on it. Faith is huge, especially for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Easter is a religious holiday, so of course, faith is baked in. Should your screenplay be faith-based? Why not? You would increase the likelihood of it being sold since you'd open another market, but it doesn't have to be since Christmas is a secular holiday observed in most of the world. We want to feel good about the holidays, and too many times the reality is less than we hoped for. Adding strong themes of redemption and faith will help your screenplay soar and give your audience what they're seeking, either consciously or subconsciously. Examine all the Christmas movies you've seen. Even the profane Bad Santa has strong redemption and transformation themes as the Billy Bob Thornton's character finds a reason to change his cynical and self-destructive ways because of the unconditional love of a child in need. They're there. And the granddaddy of them all, the story that basically created Christmas, shows a cynical, horrid man, Scrooge, becoming open and joyful to the spirit of the season where once was a closed heart. He is also similarly transformed, at least in part, by a child in need, Tiny Tim. Miracle on 34th Street tells a magical tale about a man who claims to be the real Santa Claus. Some might find the movie trickly and cloying, but I always find myself immersed in the spirit of the film, which speaks to that many feel Christmas is about faith and hope. Faith not necessarily in a higher purpose, but in Santa himself. Many also really love White Christmas, which has some great music and dancing in it, but at its core, it makes people happy to have family and friends who care about them and reminds them to be always hopeful. Exactly the way I want to feel during the holidays. I don't know about you, but that's how I want to feel. And of course, It's a Wonderful Life, which hits the themes of sharing, gratitude, and family really hard all throughout the film. We come to genre films like holiday movies for familiar themes and tropes. These familiar themes make a film we want to see to make us feel a certain way. Hopefully, they haven't become so cliched that we groan when we see them, but that's your job, our job, to elevate the work. Use familiar story beats in unfamiliar ways. That's particularly why I distinguish between movies that only take place around the holidays and movies where the characters are transformed by the holiday, be it Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, or Hanukkah. Are you noticing the recurring pattern? Are you noticing the recurring patterns in these films? The magic lies in the power of the combined humanity that connects us. Why can't a Christian enjoy a Hanukkah film as much as a Christmas one? Now, types of holiday movies you can write, but let's take a look at the different kinds of holiday movies that you might consider writing. Now, we've discussed most of these, but it bears repeating and showing where they fit in different themes. Adult or dark comedy holiday. Scrooged, Eight Crazy Nights, or Bad Santa would fall into this category. You don't see comedies this dark surrounding the holiday that often, but when you do, they tend to grab a very vocal following. You could also throw adult holiday films in here that the family could enjoy, but maybe not your youngest kids, like The Family Stone. The family holiday. That's the most traditional holiday film. These are the ones that the entire family can enjoy, like The Christmas Chronicles, Jingle Jangle, and Noel, or animated films such as Claus. Animated films could cost more, as could films that you need to build the North Pole or have a lot of special effects. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible to make them for under 10 million or 5 if you really want to draw in buyers. These kinds of stories reach the widest audience and therefore provide the biggest potential return on investment for buyers. The holiday romance. The classic holiday romantic comedy is a genre that has truly exploded in the last few years. What was once the sole territory of Hallmark has been inundated. Yep, I can't say that word. Inundated. Let's pretend I said that with projects from streamers, primarily Netflix, with films like A Christmas Prince, Christmas Inheritance, and A Christmas Catch. But neither platform, Hallmark or Netflix, is slowing down. These films have strict rules, including tone, the types of characters, the kinds of locations, the number of twists or setbacks, and more that writers need to adhere to. You'll have to study these movies, live and breathe them in order to make a great romantic holiday script. And there are a lot of young producers who know how to churn out these movies quickly and are constantly looking for new material to take to networks and streamers. Lifetime or Hallmark holiday movies. As mentioned before, movies set during the holidays have a baked in audience. And to take that a step further, Lifetime and Hallmark movies set during the holidays have a baked in audience that seem to be even more devout. So the demand for these types of scripts is rather high. And if you're a screenwriter looking to break in, this might be a really great entry level option for you. Screencraft writer Ken Miyamoto's, I believe, breakdown of how to pitch, sell, and write for Lifetime is an essential resource if you want to learn how the process works. Now, I've never looked into this. I just found this on the article that I read this from, and I think that would be an awesome thing to look at if that's something that you are considering as a writer. And last but not least, the horror holiday movie. I find it amazing that horror is so big during the holidays. It's like as much as people want to feel that family and hope and faith, more sometimes they just want to watch something really, really scary to make their lives seem not so bad, maybe. I must admit that I'm not a huge fan of the horror films during Christmas, but there's an entire industry built around the phenomenon of counter programming. The film that started this present day horror for the holidays trend is Black Christmas. So it makes sense that it would have been released around the holidays. Even though it was first shown in Canada in October 1974, it had a US December premiere. Probably the most successful horror film released in December was The Exorcist. I also didn't realize until I did some research for this article, but the Lon Chaney Wolfman was released in December 1941. Now that's going a ways back. Now, what to do once you write your holiday movie? Now, as mentioned before, there are producers who specialize in romantic holiday movies. Do your research and find the producers that made the films that you love most and query them or look into their submission policies. You can also submit to contests. Netflix has worked with writers on their low budget romantic comedies submitted to screenwriting contests and then connected to the streamer. Another option is to film it yourself and submit it to festivals or sell it on your own directly to networks or streamers. This gives you the most control and allows you to not have to wait for a sale to bring your story to life. In all of these genres, it is concept first, then create the character for it. That doesn't mean that there aren't character arcs. It means that you need a high concept that draws in viewers easily. But ultimately, nothing should ever stop you from writing any story, especially a hopeful one that brings people joy every season. Again, I've linked the articles where I got two articles where I got this more kind of pulled from different sources, creativescreenwriting.com and tvlaunchpad.com. I found really good articles that I kind of just pulled from. I have links to those in the show notes, and I also have them on the website. Now, I believe after listening to this, everyone is ready to go out there and write the next great holiday film, right? Like the classic. Well, hopefully this inspired maybe a new idea. A great way to try something new and incorporate some holiday magic would be to join the Ink to Screen Screenwriting Challenge. Write something brand new and get feedback on it to help your writing develop even more. Now, I'm not hinting at what the November prompt is. Be careful. I know you guys some of you who are listening, I am not hinting at the prompt for November, but you never know what prompt it could be and how you can incorporate some of these ideas. Now, don't forget to grab the free logline cheat sheet PDF and focus on creating log lines for your new holiday film. Wouldn't it be great? I mean, just along with all the things you've written, maybe horror, comedy, to just kind of like pitch out a holiday movie that you have a good log line for. Because I know you want to write one after listening to this podcast. And it's always a good time to work on those log lines, no matter what, even if you have some old ones that you just kind of want to freshen up. You can download it right off my main website at www.thescriptmistress.com or go to the podcast page at www.thescriptmistress.com/scene8. Now, I always like to end with a writing action, something to maybe do over the weekend if you're looking for inspiration. Use that free logline download or use your own methods and write out 3 log lines for holiday movies that you would like to see or write. Now, you can feel free to share any of these log lines on the Facebook page that we have, Ink to Screen, or email me at amber@thescriptmistress.com to get extra help and tips. Again, the next Ink to Screen Screenwriting Challenge is now open for registration. Finalists for the October challenge will be announced on November 13th. And yes, I have finished reading them all. And I do have to say, anybody that wasn't involved in the October challenge, I sent out 4 different phobias that people had to choose from. They got to choose one phobia, or they could do all. One did. And they had to write a new 5-page script on it. And I was very surprised at the amount of vomit. There were about 80% of the scripts had the characters just seeing their phobia and vomiting everywhere. That was very interesting. So I'm really excited to announce this month's finalists, and the winner will be announced on November 14th. All feedback will go out on the 14th as well in the afternoon, just in time for the new challenge to start on the 16th. Again, October was extra challenging and extra nauseating. And November won't be as nauseating, hopefully, but we'll really get those juices flowing, just hopefully in a different way. So don't miss that one. You check it all out at www.thescriptmistress.com/ink to screen, the number 2. So thank you so much for listening and or watching. I truly value any feedback. If you have an idea, oh, my alarm's going off. If you have an idea for a podcast that might help, you can email me at amber@thescriptmistress.com. Like and follow the show and get updates when I usually have one every Friday, but sometimes I might just throw an extra one out there. So talk soon. Until then, happy writing.